I married a widower, then his dead wife showed up at my door, calm and composed, asking questions that didn't make sense, until I realized I was the only one who didn't know the truth. My name is Ava Miller and I live in Tennessee. Lucas Taylor, 38. He worked in cybersecurity. When we started dating, he told me he was a widower. He said his wife passed away a few years before we met. Illness. He didn't go into details and I didn't ask. It felt like something you respect, not investigate. And nothing about him made me question it. He had photos of her. Not many, but enough. A couple framed in his office. Some saved on his phone. He spoke about her carefully, like someone who had already processed the loss but still carried it. It didn't feel fake. It felt settled. If anything, I respected him more for it. He wasn't bitter. He wasn't closed off. He just seemed like someone who had gone through something difficult and figured out how to keep living. And with me, everything was easy. No games. No confusion. No sudden changes in behavior. He showed up when he said he would. He called when he said he would. Even when he traveled, he checked in. It was consistent. Looking back, I think that's what made it believable. There were no big red flags. No dramatic moments where something felt obviously wrong. Just small things that didn't stand out at the time. Like how he kept his past separate. I never met anyone from his wife's side. No old friends, no extended family. But I didn't think much of it. People drift. Life moves on. And he didn't avoid the topic. If I asked something small, he answered. Just briefly. Enough to feel real. After about a year, we got married. It wasn't a huge wedding. Just close friends, a few of his coworkers, and my side of the family. Simple, low-key, exactly what I wanted. I remember thinking how calm everything felt that day. No stress. No second thoughts. Just certainty. Like I had made the right decision. And for a while, it stayed that way. Our life together was steady. Predictable. Comfortable. He traveled sometimes for work. Usually short trips. 2 or 3 days. Occasionally longer if a project ran over. But he always came back. Always the same. Same tone. Same routine. Same version of him. Nothing felt off. If anything, I felt lucky. Because I knew people in messy relationships. Constant arguments. Trust issues. Uncertainty. I didn't have any of that. I had stability. And I didn't realize how much I trusted that until the day it broke. It was a Saturday afternoon. Lucas had left earlier to run errands. Nothing unusual. I was home alone, catching up on work and half watching something in the background. Then there was a knock at the door. I almost ignored it. We don't usually get unexpected visitors. Packages get left outside. Friends text before coming over. But something about it felt intentional. So I went to check. When I opened the door, there was a woman standing there. Mid-30s. Maybe a little older than me. She looked composed, but tense. Like she had rehearsed this moment more than once. The first thing she said was, "Is Lucas here?" I told her no. That he was out. She nodded, then looked past me into the house. Then she asked, "Are you his sister?" I actually laughed. I thought she was confused. I said, "No, I'm his wife." And the way her expression changed. I felt it immediately. Not anger. Not shock. Recognition. Like something had just confirmed itself. She looked at me for a second longer, then said, very calmly, "I'm his wife." And in that moment, everything in my life started to feel slightly off. Like I had just stepped into the wrong version of it. For a second, I honestly thought she was confused. Not lying. Not dangerous. Just mistaken. I said, "I think you have the wrong house." She didn't react. Didn't argue. She just reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. "I don't," she said. Then she turned the screen toward me. It was a photo of Lucas. Not an old one. Not something you'd find online. It was recent. He was sitting on a couch I didn't recognize, wearing a shirt I'd seen him wear just a few weeks ago. And he wasn't alone. He had his arm around her. The woman standing in front of me. I felt something drop in my chest, but my brain still tried to fix it. Old photo. Edited. Coincidence. I said, "That doesn't mean." She swiped. Another photo. Different day. Different place. Same 2 people. Then another. Holidays. Birthdays. Casual moments. The kind of pictures you only take when you're actually living a life with someone. And the timestamps. They overlapped with everything. With me. I remember gripping the door a little tighter, like I needed something solid to hold on to. "This doesn't make sense," I said. "His wife passed away." She shook her head once. "No," she said. I didn't. There was no emotion in her voice. That's what made it worse. If she had been angry, I could have pushed back. If she had been yelling, I could have shut the door. But she wasn't. She was calm. Certain. And suddenly, I didn't feel certain about anything. I stepped back and opened the door wider. "Come in," I said. I don't remember deciding to say it. It just happened. She walked inside slowly, like she was taking in everything. Not in a curious way, more like she was recognizing things. That bothered me more than anything. We sat at the kitchen table. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Then she said, "My name is Sophia." I nodded. "Ava." There was a pause. Then we started comparing. Not emotionally. Not dramatically. Just facts. "How long have you been married?" she asked. 2 years, I said. She nodded like she expected that. "We've been married 10, she said. That didn't even feel real. I asked when he started traveling. She told me about 3 years ago. A new contract. Better pay. Temporary relocation. He started going back and forth at first. Then less often. Then almost not at all. But he still called her every day. Still said goodnight. Still acted like nothing had changed. And here, he was doing the same thing with me. I asked her if they were separated. No, she said. We never separated. Divorced? No. Any kind of break? No. She looked at me and added, I thought we were fine. That sentence sat there between us. Because I understood it. I thought the same thing. We kept going. Dates. Trips. Holidays. I told her about a weekend we spent in the mountains last winter. She pulled up a photo from that same weekend. He had told her he was working late. Different location. Same days. Same person. 2 completely different stories. And somehow, both of us believed him. That's when it really hit me. Neither of us was the other woman. We were both the main one. Fully. Completely. He didn't treat either of us like a secret. He had just built 2 lives and maintained both of them. Perfectly. I sat back in my chair and just stared at the table. I wasn't crying. I wasn't angry. I just felt disconnected. Like I was watching something instead of living it. Sophia was quiet for a while. Then she said, I almost didn't come. I looked up. My sister told me something felt off, she continued. The distance. The excuses. I kept defending him. That sounded familiar. I told myself it made sense, she said. That I was overthinking. I nodded slowly. Same, I said. There was a long pause after that. Not awkward. Just heavy. 2 people sitting across from each other, realizing the same thing at the same time. I asked her, what were you expecting when you came here? She thought about it. I don't know, she said. Not this. Yeah, I said. Not this. Then she looked at me and asked, what do you want to do? That was the first time it felt real. Because now it wasn't just information. It was a decision. I thought about it for a second. About confronting him separately. About calling him. About pretending I didn't know and watching him lie. None of it felt right. Because if he had managed this for years, he would manage the conversation too. He would explain. Adjust. Control it. I looked back at her and said, we don't give him that chance. She held my gaze for a moment. Then she nodded. Okay. We didn't plan anything complicated. We just agreed on one thing. We would both be here when he walked in. No warning. No time to prepare. No version of the story he could adjust. Just the truth. And whatever happened after that. So we waited. Sitting at the same table. In the same silence. Listening for the sound of his car pulling into the driveway. And for the first time since I met him, I realized I had no idea who was about to walk through that door. We heard his car before we saw him. That familiar sound pulling into the driveway. The engine shutting off. The car door closing. Everything about it felt normal. And that's what made it so unsettling. I remember looking at Sophia for a second. Neither of us said anything. There was nothing left to say. A few seconds later, the front door opened. Hey, he called out casually. I'm back. Same voice. Same tone. Same version of him. Footsteps moved toward the kitchen. Then he turned the corner. And stopped. I've never seen someone freeze like that. Not confusion. Not surprise. Recognition. His eyes moved from me, to Sophia, then back to me. And in that silence, I understood something I hadn't wanted to admit before. He knew exactly who she was. No denial. No hesitation. Just calculation. For a few seconds, nobody spoke. Then he exhaled slowly, like he was resetting himself. Okay, he said. That was it. Not, what's going on, not who is this. Just, okay. Sophia was the first to speak. Do you want to explain? She asked. Her voice was steady. Controlled. He didn't answer right away. He set his keys down on the counter like this was still a normal day. Like he needed to complete that small routine before dealing with the situation. Then he looked at both of us and said, I didn't want it to happen like this. I felt something shift in my chest. Not anger. Clarity. Sophia asked, then how did you want it to happen? He didn't respond. Because there wasn't a good answer. I asked him, how long? He looked at me. Then at her. Then back at me. A few years, he said. Like that made it smaller. Sophia let out a quiet breath. A few years, she repeated. We've been married 10. He nodded slightly. I know. No apology. Just acknowledgement. I asked, did you ever plan to tell me the truth? He held my gaze for a second, then said, I thought I could manage it. That was the moment everything inside me went completely still. Not heartbreak. Not shock. Just nothing. Because that sentence explained everything. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't confusion. He wasn't torn between two lives. He was comfortable in both. Sophia spoke again. Manage what? She asked. 2 marriages? He didn't answer directly. I wasn't trying to hurt either of you, he said. And that was it. That was his defense. Not that he didn't do it. Not that it wasn't real. Just that he didn't mean to hurt us. I remember looking at him and realizing I didn't recognize him anymore. Not because he had changed, but because I had finally seen him clearly. I stood up first. Not dramatically. Just done. I'm not doing this, I said. He looked at me like he expected something else. An argument. A reaction. He didn't get one. Sophia stood up too. She didn't look at him. She looked at me. And we both understood. There was nothing to fix here. Nothing to fight for. Just something to walk away from. He said my name once. Ava. I didn't stop. I walked past him, grabbed my keys, and left the house. No yelling. No scene. Just silence. The next few weeks were quiet. Not chaotic. Not dramatic. Just quiet in a way that felt unfamiliar. Sophia went back to Tampa and started the process of separating from him legally. I met with a consultant in Nashville and filed for an annulment. Technically, my marriage was never valid in the first place. That part felt strange. Like something I had lived in wasn't real. Lucas tried reaching out a few times. Messages. Calls. Long explanations I never asked for. I didn't respond. Neither did she. From what I've heard, things didn't go well for him. Nothing extreme. No public scandal. Just consequences. People finding out. Conversations changing. The way others look at you when they know something you can't explain away. His reputation shifted. Quietly. Permanently. And that felt fitting. Sophia and I still talk sometimes. Not often. We're not best friends. We don't pretend this turned into something positive. It didn't. But there's an understanding there. We don't need to explain anything to each other. We already know. As for me, I'm still figuring things out. Not in a dramatic way. Just slowly. I go to work. I come home. I sit in the same spaces that used to feel certain. And sometimes I catch myself thinking about how normal everything felt. That's the part that stays with me. Not the confrontation. Not even the truth. Just how easy it was for him. How natural. How consistent. How nothing felt wrong until it suddenly was. I've thought about him a lot. Not in the way you think. Not missing him. Not even angry at him. Just trying to understand. How do you live like that? How do you wake up every day, look someone in the eye, and just continue? Not slipping up. Not breaking. Not even hesitating. 2 lives. 2 versions of yourself. And somehow both feel real. I keep replaying things in my head. Looking for signs. Moments I missed. Something I ignored. But the truth is, there wasn't anything obvious. He didn't act like someone hiding something. He acted like someone who had already decided it wasn't wrong. And maybe that's what makes it worse. Because if someone can believe their own lie that completely, then what exactly are you supposed to trust? Your instincts? Your judgment? Your memory of how things felt? I don't have a clear answer for that. All I know is this. I didn't lose him. I lost the version of reality I thought I was living in. And that's a lot harder to rebuild. So, if everything felt real while it was happening, does it still count as real now that I know it wasn't?